is a great day to do some crafting. It's been storming off and on, and it has been very hot, so we're not going outside because, we're not stupid. So today is going to be a really good day to do some inside projects. I've got a couple of things going, and a couple of those things are going to require some paint before we do anything else. So I've got my chalk paint. I'm going to paint this because I'm going to decoupage over it, and I need it to be much lighter. So that's where we're going to start. This is actually a cute little shelf, and I got this at the thrift store, Primitives by Kathy, which I thought, well, that's kind of cute. She's got a whole line of stuff apparently. But for what we're doing with it in our upcycle, it is just too dark. Okay, so let's get a coat of white chalk paint on here and let that dry while we do something else. While we're going to let that dry, I want to show you a quickie that we're going to do here, just so that we're kind of keeping our flow. These are the prettiest canisters. The lids are nice and firm, but they're not really tight. They're the kind of tight that you would use for, like, say, tea, coffee, herbs, and they're just this really pretty. It's got a bit of a shoulder here, a little bell, a little bit of a belly here, and then it comes to this elevated foot. They're very, very pretty. And I fell in love with this gold and pink, the sakuras, and the golden foily look. And I thought, yeah, I actually know exactly where that's gonna go. Look at that. It's so delicate and so pretty, and when it sits on the glass, it's gonna just have this really soft, subtle, but definitely chinoiserie. And I think it's a really fresh update for these graceful canisters. And those will go in the stash. That's how you know you're a real upcycler, crafter, handyman, sewer, quilter, jewelry maker, is you always have a stash. Did that make you uncomfortable when I just shoved that right in like that and just like that? Does that bother you? Just like that. I'm just going to smash it in there. Yeah. And because these have this beautiful gold foil, I don't have to paint the lids because some dark thing is going to show through some light napkin. So woohoo! Oh my gosh. 2 eternities later. There we go. Both sections off. Just putting a piece of plastic over this to help so that I can rub a little harder, smooth edges out a little bit better, and not tear the napkin with my fingers getting all sticky from the glue. This seems to smooth things out just a little bit. And because it's round, I'm going to have to fiddle it. That's okay. Okay, here are my finished products. Aren't those just pretty? and I'm going to set them over here and let them dry completely. Then I'm going to trim off the edges, and I'm going to put on a coat of I like this one. That's the glossy, just because when you're working with glass, you want it to have that kind of a glossier edge to it. Another item that I'm going to use my decoupage on is this very pretty little treasure box. It's well constructed, the lid fits well, the very softest aqua, some purples, some hummingbirds. It's called the Amazonian Tree of Life. I think that's just gorgeous. But the first thing I have to do, because of how light that is I have to paint this. So I am thinking that, yeah, so that how pretty that is. We'll do that. Okay, let's get started. Oh, this is looking so pretty. Look at that gorgeous duck egg color and how pretty that's going to be with the napkin. I really like that. I think that was a really great choice. Okay, so then let's check these. How are they? It's been about an hour. No, they're getting there. They're still a little bit, I can feel the glue under it moving just a little bit. This little box has turned out so pretty in the duck egg blue. Let's see if I can show it to you without, there we go, without a bunch of shadow. I'm definitely going to do this with this transfer on the top like so. And then I'm going to put a brass handle on there so that there's a little knob. That's one of the things that leads me to think that that would look amazing with just keeping the sides kind of simple and just putting, give the camera where you can see it. Look at that if I kept it simple with just the gold, this would be a very pretty box. If I go big and I put this on there like so, and I just do it up to the curve of the, I really like how that looks, and it's different. It's really different. Okay, I am really liking how this is turning out. It's a delicate process. There's curves, there's cuts, but I really like this. So, got a little bit more to go around. Being careful here because I'm only going up to this edge right here, this little rounded edge. I don't want this to be on that lip. So I'm being careful to only go up to there, and then I'll have to gently sand that off, but I really like it. Well, I think these turned out absolutely lovely. So this is how these look on their glass. Isn't that pretty? You still see everything and it's still very open, but definitely having this pink and gold chinoiserie, the sakura blossoms, elevates these. And now what a pretty trio these are on a countertop or buffet or even in a bathroom. Yeah, I like them a lot. And the little chest is coming along very nicely. I want to make sure that I get this we'll get that trimmed off and then just really gently sand it. But I like it. Yes, I do.
I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see from up here. The world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
Just gonna put a light brushing of our Mod Podge over everything. The paint, the decoupage, and eventually the paint transfer, because everything should be as stabilized and sealed as it can be so that it can be dusted and used and all that. So that's what this is. This is just a light coating right over the top. And then when you get up here, you want to kind of give it a little bit of a sealing this way so that paper isn't liable to lift and fray. See? Okay, I'm going to do that all the way around. Right, Mod Podge on there. Sealed it nicely all the way around the box and the edge of the box. However, not inside. I'm not worried about that. And once that dries, I will put this little knob on there with some Loctite. And this project is a wrap, and that will join these ones, which I'm so in love with. And now it's on to the next. I think I'm ready to put on the napkin onto this. Yep, this is nice and dry. Okay, let's get started. This is really coming together for me. I love it. And I'm excited to get this piece set, and I'm going to use my Loctite, of course, on there. Then not only to cover, I've got a hole there and a hole there, and they really aren't enough to do anything with. I suppose a person could drill this to the wall, maybe, utilizing those. I'm not sure. I don't like them. So what's going to go on there, I've got these pretty wood handles that are almost the same color, and I'm going to just put my adhesive right there like that and finish that. And then those are actually going to be strong enough to be able to hang something from that's fairly light. I mean, you can't rappel off of it, but you could definitely hang some herbs or a piece of jewelry or a scarf or anything like that. So I'm going to get that going. I picked up this little vintage Lazy Susan. I just really love these. They're so useful and practical. This is actual wood. It is the Masonite. I think these are incredibly useful. I am not loving the finish on this one, so I'm going to give it a little bit of a makeup, a glow up, a hair. I'm just going to make it look nice. Yeah, that's it. nice and dry. So I've been thinking about what I want to do with it because I don't like upcycling things and then just having them sit. I like useful, practical, and pretty. So I'm thinking I need a place to set my vitamins, my water glass, because this is just an enamel paint and I didn't do a lot of prep. I think what I'm going to do is take one of these napkins and decoupage this on and then seal it all the way around with more of the high gloss luster Mod Podge. And then this will be very pretty, but it'll also be waterproof and I can wipe it off. Sometimes when you're doing this with the white background, you really don't want a dark background behind it but I'm really liking that. I like how that looks. So with this napkin, it's the actual dimensions, the square to the circle. So you can see that. See how it goes right to the edge all the way. I mean, it's cutting it close. But I like that because I won't waste hardly anything. Give us a little bit of plastic wrap so that we can do a really quick. Okay, we want to try to get this down as evenly as we can. That, because once it gets wet, you can't move it. Okay, but what my most important thing were the edges. Okay, so now taking our plastic and just real gently, and I just am so in awe of people who can do this without having too many wrinkles and puffy spots. I have never gotten there, but I also kind of like it. I think that the wrinkles and the little bits and bobs, they sort of add an element to this that you don't get with things like painting on a surface or doing a paint transfer, or there's this element of the handmade that's really, really attractive and peaceful. But I try not to get too hung up on, is there a wrinkle or a tiny air bubble? Yeah, there probably is. I made it myself. Okay. Now, the key to a good piece of decoupage like this is being really patient when you rub so you're not tearing the paper. But secondly, to just let it do its magical thing and let it dry perfectly before you go adding any top coats or trying to remove pieces. If you don't, you will end up on the sad end of the stick because you tore it. What we're gonna do is camouflage and act like it's intentional. That's all we can do. I'm going to make a little piece to go across there, and I'm going to tie it in by covering that light switch. I'm going to decoupage both of them, and I'm going to make pieces here of art. So here we go. Took the plate off. There's quite a bit of paint from the last 2 paint jobs in that bathroom, at least. So I need to scrape that off. I'm just going to use a utility blade and take that off. And I'll just run that under the faucet and wash it so that it's not sticky. And then I took, this is actually one of the pieces of a box, the lid, and I just cut it to fit, because it has to fit in under that light fixture that you saw. Okay, so I do not think I need to paint this white. I think that the slightly darker background is going to be just fine, especially since it's going to be sitting back up under that light fixture. And check this out. when I used these pages to do the box, I did not like these edges. They were just too big on that little box. But check this out. On this, if I put it at the edge, like so, look how cute. And I have a spare piece here, which I will line up like so. And then I've got these pieces that I will be able to create a border around, so that when I'm finished, it won't just end abruptly like so, but there will be that border all the way around it. This, my loves, is why we save all the pieces, because you never know exactly the fit, exactly the piece. And sometimes it's just a little script scrap that you need to finish something. Well, as it's drying, you can really begin to see the board or the paper through, and I'm not crazy about that, I'll be honest with you. But I took it in before I panicked. I took it into the bathroom and I held it up, and I realized it actually looks really good. It has kind of an almost antiquing effect on it. So going to just go ahead, finish it, and let it be what it is. I think it looks great. Let that dry. We'll need to go over it and seal it, but we're not going to be doing that until everything is dry. Okay, so here is our finished piece. That's got some nice spray adhesive on the back. I'm going to take that and put that up like so. Yeah, that looks really nice. And when you turn this on, obviously you can't see it as well, but that's okay. But when this is off and it's just natural light, look how pretty that is. And then the other thing we're going to do is put this light switch cover on. Pretty. Very pretty. Let's see if I get out of the light so you can see it. Isn't that gorgeous? And finished. And it makes the bathroom look so good. Love it. That's project number 5. Okay, this guy got sealed. It looks good. Everything is down and firm. We can just take the scissors and cut that edge off. Isn't that pretty? Let's see if we can zoom out a little bit so you can see how pretty that is. I love it. That's natural, beautiful, and useful. Yes. Dessert time. Yum. So this is fresh matcha red bean cake, and it is kind of like a pound cake. You can see the little red beans. It's very, very tasty. Japanese, kind of like a sponge cake or a pound cake. I find it a bit dry, so I like to serve it with some Trader Joe's Meyer lemon cream yogurt. It was so good. And then I have some strawberries that I cut up and put a little sugar on, so now they're nice and juicy and sweet. So that's what we're gonna do.